The 4 stages of wholesaling real estate growth to go from $0 to $1 million. What is up, guys? Zach in here.
Rick in here.
And in today's video, we're going to show you the 4 stages and the 4 natural progressions to go from 0 to millionaire in wholesaling real estate when it comes to scaling up your wholesaling business. Now, basically in this video, we're going to give you a $4,000 weekend seminar it takes for most people on how to scale in wholesaling real estate and really give you the journey. And the truth is, this journey is something that I had to independently go through and you've independently had to go through, right?
Definitely.
And so they have a lot of things in Native American cultures called like a vision quest, right?
Yeah.
Where you kind of go through this quest and this journey, and at the other side, you basically become a new person, right? And when it comes to going from no money to a millionaire in wholesaling, you pretty much have to go on a vision quest yourself, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have to go through 4 stages of intense struggle and happiness and grinding and all this stuff to get to the point where we're at. And really, these 4 distinct stages will make you the man or woman it takes to become a millionaire, have passive income, spend 5-10 hours a week in the business and make a ton of money, right? And if you can get through these stages, these obstacles, these levels, you can become very successful. So we're excited to break it down, guys. I'm giving thousands of dollars of information here. Gurus never make videos on scaling. They're all behind crazy expensive seminars. So we're excited to break it down.
So let's talk about the first stage, and it's called the survive stage. And most of you watching are probably in it if you're just getting started in wholesaling. This is the one phase everybody has to go through, and why me and Zach are so passionate about our mission to help as many people get started and prosper, not only to get their first deal, but get to their first 100,000. So this stage is where you start, and it's from $1 to your first 100,000. And to be brutally honest with you, it's the most challenging, exciting, the biggest roller coaster you're going to go on in your wholesaling life, because you're making a massive change. So everybody starts here. I think it's fun, it's frustrating, and it defines if you are going to move on to the other 3 phases. Everyone goes through it, and I've been through it, Zach's been through it, and our job here and through freewholesaling.com is to get you easily through this stage. You're going to have to do the work. Remember, wholesaling is simple. It's people like us that make it complicated. You make it complicated, and if you can get through the survive stage, you have a huge probability of being successful and moving on to your next 3 stages where you can really thrive.
Yeah, and really, if you want to look at it from a numbers perspective, this is basically 0 to 100,000 in wholesaling real estate, right? This is your first 100K. This is just a fun stage, right? Like, you're not taking wholesaling as serious as, maybe you will in the future. And really, you're having fun, right? And I like to call this a mistakes thing, right? Like, you're gonna make a ton of mistakes. I promise you, if you don't make mistakes, you're actually gonna fail, right? And I made every mistake in the book: offers, talking to sellers, all these things. If you can go out here, have some fun, do some deals, and really start getting and understanding this business, that's gonna lead you to the next part here. Stage number 2. This is really when we're made our first $100,000 in wholesaling, right? That's pretty cool. We're pretty much getting away from the job, right? Because most people's jobs aren't making 100K. It's a lot less work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, now I'm making 100K. I quit my job. I'm committing, right? Like, you're making that commitment to yourself that, hey, I'm going to get into wholesaling. This is the stage where not a lot of people talk about, right? This is the least talked about stage. People go from stage 1 and then they go to stage 4, right? Like, that's all they care about. Stage 2 is probably the most important one. And if we're talking about a long journey in the desert, getting through it to go to the next part, this is the 1,000 miles in the sun and the treacherous conditions and fighting off the saber-toothed tigers and all these like, this is the hardest one. This is the one where you really got to get through it, right? And this is the grind stage. And I know grind is a very used term lately, but the grind stage is real. This is when you put everything on the line to become as successful as possible in wholesaling. And your grind stage was a lot different than my grind stage, right?
Yeah.
What was yours?
So my grind stage, honestly, it's where you take what you learned in phase 1. So you've verified that wholesaling works. You have actually proved the concept, and then you go all in. The problem is, you go all in, it's mostly you. And the word grind explains it well, because now you don't doubt it. Now you're spending a lot more time and energy. You're the acquisitions person, you're the dispo person, you're the marketing manager, you're the transaction coordinator, and you feel like I can do this, and you can. My biggest mistake in this phase was I stayed in it too long. And that's going to be a lot of your problems, because you can get stuck there because it is a daunting task to get past this. The other part of this stage is sometimes we get into the know-it-all stage. You think you know it all at this stage, and it's problematic. And a lot of you think you can cut from like stage stage 2 all the way to like the final stage. And this is where most of you are very susceptible to most of the guru tactics. And let me show you how to like up your business. You have to naturally go through this progression. Some go through it faster, some go slower. I got stuck in this phase. I am like the poster child for grind. I got stuck in this phase for 7 years. I didn't have a lot of alternatives, and I eventually had to figure it out. So understand where you are just by knowing what phase you are, and you can identify it. You can take the necessary actions for you to grow as a person and grow your wholesale operations.
Yeah, and also if you really want to look at things and look at this is really when you call it the solo stage 2. You're buying yourself, you're making 100K, and I hate to break it to you in the grind stage, the most money you're going to make just by yourself, solo yourself, doing everything, marketing, acquisitions, dispositions, networking, right? 300K. Honestly,
on average, yes.
On average, there's some guys that can do $500,000, but like that's in San Francisco, crazy big margins, right? Yeah. But like if you're really looking at by yourself solo, 300K is usually going to be the max for you. And it kind of stinks, right? It's like playing a video game. It's like, okay, it's over. And it's like, what do you mean? The grind stage is tough. And my grind stage was for 2 years. And really for 1 year straight, this is when I learned cold calling, all the skills I needed for stage 3. Without stage 2, I wouldn't actually be able to do stage 3 or 4. And my grind stage was intense, right? Like I did probably 7 years. I did your grind stage of 7 years in a year and a half, 2 years. And it was tough, right? Yeah. And this was me cold calling 5 days a week, 5 hours a day for a year straight. 2 to 7 p.m. I was on the phones calling every single day, and I was making a ton of money. But here's the problem with the grind stage. It was 12, 13, 14-hour days. I worked out on top of that, and I actually did school for a year, right? Like I actually graduated college while doing all this stuff. And I have
his choice.
And yeah, I mean, I have an eidetic memory. I can memorize things pretty easy, so it's kind of easy for me to do. But like the grind stage was tough because you wake up, you work, and I consider schoolwork and working out work too. Yeah. And then you eat dinner, you go to bed. Like it's hard, right? It was hard on my relationship with my friends. It was hard on relationship with the family. It was very difficult, right?
And guys, understand the grind stage, you're at the biggest risk of going through the burnout stage. You ever hear that? And there's one other phenomenon that happens in the grind stage that nobody ever talks about. Dude, it's lonely, man. Like it's lonely. You're doing something nobody else does. You can't relate to anybody else, and you're doing everything by yourself. And just knowing in the grind stage, I don't want you to make the same mistake. I went 7 years. I think on average, 2 years is like getting in the grind stage. Like it is healthy.
Yeah. And for 2 years, that was me. And that was just me being a stubborn little teenager thinking I knew everything right. So realistically, I'm not telling you, oh, go abandon your family and grind all day. It can be 8-hour days, 5-6 days a week. Like it doesn't have to be as intense as I did it. I did it because I wanted to become a millionaire at 20 years old. And I was able to achieve that. Without the grind stage, I had to hit grind stage in stage 3 and then I became a millionaire. I would have never been able to become a millionaire in under 3 years without doing the intense thing I did. This is not for everyone, obviously, right? Like not everyone's going to be Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, or LeBron. Like you're not going to be an NBA all-star at the age of 21, 22, right? Like,
you don't have to be either.
But if you want to be, you can do it, right? So the grind stage it's lonely. There's a cap on what you can make, and it's rough. Stage 3. So I could say about stage 3, and stage 3 is the scale phase. So if you really look at the grind phase, number 2, the grind phase is the physically hardest thing because you're physically working long hours. Stage 3 to scale, I can tell you that is the mentally hardest thing to do, right?
Very, very mentally challenging.
It's not physically challenging. You're not working 15-hour days anymore, but you are mentally being pushed to the limits because you are doing something you have never been used to before. And this is the first time you're uncomfortable. And this is actually scaling and managing people.
Yeah. And so here's the disclosure and the challenges. I went through this, and most likely you will too, is you get excited, go, okay, now I can delegate to people and put them in charge. It sounds like super sexy. I'm just telling you, it's terrifying when you do it because it's like letting a child like go out somewhere and you're going to have to let them like scuff their knees. They're going to get bruises. They might even get injured. And then you have to like teach them. As a grinder, you're that parent that like protects the child, like everything they do, you correct. And when you get to the scale phase, now you have to let people, you give them guidance. It's all about learning leadership and how to guide people. And you've been through the fight and they're looking for direction. It's not when things are going good. It's when things like fall apart. And that's where you have to come in and lead your team. And here's the other thing that was really overwhelming. And this is what stops most people from doing it. To go from the grind to the scale phase, you're going to have to go backwards in income to achieve the ultimate financial freedom. Meaning this is going to cost some money, it's going to cost time. And so you're like, okay, well, I'm making 300 grand grind, I should make 500 in the scale stage. No, actually, you might go backwards for a short period of time, and it's risky because you're taking on so many other tasks. So understand, sometimes you got to go backwards for you to move forward. This happens in business, it happens in life. You're going to have to go through some short-term pain to get that long-term gain in scaling.
Yeah, and scaling is really figuring out your business and what you're doing, and then hiring people to do it for a cheaper price than what it costs you. For example, paying somebody $4 or $5 an hour to cold call for me, and I was like, wait, this is terrible. I hate this, because if I was getting 10 deals a month cold calling myself, if I hired someone, they were 70% as effective as me, which means they're only getting 7 deals a month, which means I'm losing all this money.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. This is the thing about scaling nobody really talks about. If I get 2 people to cold call instead, besides 1, they're 140% more effective. Yes, they're not going to catch every single thing, but you just have a bigger net. And what that means is you're able to go call maybe yourself 1,000 leads every single week between having 2, and then you're doing 2,000 leads every single week, right? And it doubles the lead flow. The point of scaling is that means you're able to, as me, the acquisitions person, to go on more appointments and do less cold calling, which is probably the least important of my time. That's how you go from 10 deals to 14 deals solo to having a team. And then you have acquisitions people, dispositions people. I'm telling you, if you want to learn how to scale up correctly, just go to freewholesaling.com. We do something even the people who do the scaling masterminds, they don't do, which is they won't even tell you how much they pay their people. I actually show you at freewholesaling.com.
That's like a big mystery.
How much you pay everybody, acquisitions people, dispo, all these things. But really scaling up's the toughest one, right? Because you're adding on extra expenses, and you're probably going to make less money starting out because there's growing pains. And once you're able to go those growing pains, you can probably go from 300K to 4 to 5 to 6, all the way up to $1 million. And this brings us back to stage 4. And this is the stage that in 2022, we've really truly hit in the beginning of it. And it took a little bit to get to that point, right? We still have growing pains and scaling, but really we've hit that point now, which is what we call the abundance or the thrive stage, right? And that's when you start making millions of dollars every year in wholesaling real estate. And it's kind of this point, right? And they have this index where it shows how happy you are in the United States of America in relative to the income you make. And for most psychologists, they say once you make over $75,000 a year net, you're statistically not going to be as happy anymore. And what does that mean? I look at it like a cheeseburger, and that's the way I always look at it. If I'm hungry and eat 1 cheeseburger, I'm pretty dang happy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty dang happy about that.
Yep.
I eat another cheeseburger, pretty happy about that. Not as happy, but like pretty good. Once the 3rd or 4th cheeseburger comes in, it's like, it's good, but it's just not as good as the first one, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at wholesaling, right? I make my first 100K a month, and then I start making 200K a month, then 3 to 4. Like, is me going from 600K a month to 700K a month going to make me any more happier in my life? Probably not, but it's a game, and you can give to charity, do a lot more awesome stuff. So that's the point. But really, the abundance stages, you don't have to worry about income. You got your business running pretty well. You've put passive income, 80% of the income right here coming in, you're just putting away, right? And for taxes, passive income, things like that, it's true. It's true wealth. That way I look at it, right? I can wholesale from anywhere I want in the world. I got an internet connection. I can fire myself. In this stage, I'm working about 5 to 10 hours a week in wholesaling real estate, just really managing things, and you work the other 5 to 10. So
yeah,
roughly that's 10 to 20 hours a week between the both of us for our businesses, but that's the way I like it.
And it frees you up to take that beautiful income that you're making and go find your passive investments, go find the assets. And now you can do it on a much bigger scale. You can buy commercial buildings. You can do like fun projects. So it winds up kind of, it's like a game. So like you got the money. The real true definition of wealth to me is being able to do what you want, when you want, have freedom of time. There's different stages to it, but at this stage is when you can accumulate those assets that will take care of you and your family the rest of your life. And like the really cool part is it's like a lot of fun. Like you can work with charities, you can help people out, and you can truly, to me, it's the ultimate fulfillment why we get in this business. A lot of people just want to go from like phase 1 or 2 all the way to 4. And that's where I say work through the 4 stages, and that is what will truly make you a successful investor and make you super happy.
Exactly. So guys, those are the 4 stages of wholesaling real estate growth. Let me know in the comments what stage you're on. For most people, it's going from 0 to 100, and really at freewholesaling.com, that's what it's designed to do. do. Now there's an advanced topics to really show you how to go from grind to scale. And then really once you're at abundance, hit me up, message me. I can help you out from there. I'm still learning that, right? So like we're not actively making $10 million every single year in wholesaling. We're working on that. We're getting to that point, right? I'm 23. We're going to grow that. But actively I'm on stage 4 and I want to help as many people as possible get to the best stage they can. So if you got any value from this video, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, go to freewholesaling.com, and we'll see you guys soon. This is Zach Kin signing out.
Rick Ginn signing out.
Have a blessed one.
See you
Thanks,
guys.